Wow. What's happening, everybody? It's your boy. We are back. Welcome to Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette. I am he, your host, and we got one for you today. Listen, today is going to be a very powerful and impactful day. Now, I know yesterday we had Father's Day, and I know for Father's Day, some of you guys celebrated your dad and your father, and some of you guys, well, that's a whole nother discussion. But I wanted to take some time today to close out these three shows that we did the last 3 weeks. And this is one that is very, very serious, but also inside of being serious, we're going to drop some wisdom and some jewels. This is not just for men, this is also for women. This is an understanding, a deeper look inside of a man, right? So I can't wait to share this information. I'm going to take my time. We're not going to go fast, quick, all of those things, but I wanted to take my time to share with you guys all of the information that we're going to share. Shout out to everybody on yesterday. I had a great time on as I said, a multitude of stops from church to family time to hanging out with Gabrielle to all of the stuff in between. Lauren this weekend. So we had a great time. It was amazing. Just wonderful, wonderful. Now, that being said, there are some things that I want to talk to you guys about from a standpoint of a male. A lot of times we don't get the recognition. Ladies, y'all do an incredible job as women, as supporting and all those stuff. I recently saw the movie with Taraji P in it, and just in that storyline, the support, even in the storyline, was just amazing. Right, but a lot of times, men, on the other hand, we fail a lot of times in that support or what have you, for whatever the reasons are, but we fail in that support. But one of the things I'm going to deal with today, topics that most people don't like to touch, but listen to this. This is the topic for today. How divorce affect men. That's right. How divorce affect men. Now we all understand that when we go through divorces, everybody's affected. We can go on and on and on about that. There's several things, and again, ladies, you guys do an incredible job with how you support each other and how you love on each other during those critical times. Men, on the other hand, not so much, right? Just not so much. So I'm gonna take my time and go through several things about how divorce actually affect men. Now, I know a lot of times we hear other things, but we're going to talk about things about how divorce actually affect men. So I wanted to share with you guys that very, very openly and honestly because it's going to be very powerful. Now, why I said it's not just for men to understand some of excuse me, some of the things that they have went through. Now, when I say divorce, I'm not just talking about married couples. It can be you have a long-term relationship you've divorced from. You were in, let's say, sports, and now you no longer in sports for whatever reason. You retired, you got injured, all of those things. You went into some, just different things inside of that, and inside of all of those opportunities, it continued to push you and move you into a negative light. So all of those things I want to kind of open up. So women, ladies, on the other hand, you get a kind of a glimpse, an inside look at some of those things that would happen. And I want to talk to you guys about that in a very, I don't say detail, but it's going to give you some good look and some good insight on it. So if you would, let's kind of get into it, right? Because I know a lot of times we don't want to get into it. But listen to this. Divorce is a stressful life event and it negatively affects both sides. It just negatively affect both sides. But here is where I want to get into on the male side. Now, ladies, this is not to disparage what you guys have been through as well. I'm just specifically talking from a male standpoint, right? Done some research, looked up some things, and so on. Listen to this. Men are also at a much greater risk of developing long term health problems during and after the divorce process. That in and of itself really was like, wow, what is that? You know, what that is deep. According to studies, divorce. What is divorce, y'all? Anyway, divorce, both directly and indirectly, affect men physical, psychologically, socially, and even spiritually and in their spiritual health. That is, man, wow. That that's crazy. That's just crazy. The influence of divorce on men's health. They published in a journal of men's health stress that the death rate of unmarried and divorced men is 250% higher than that of a married man. Moreover, divorced men suffer. Listen to this. Divorced men suffer more from cardiovascular diseases, hypertension, cancer, strokes, weight gain. And that just in the divorce process. Now, why am I sharing this with you guys? Because it also, in my opinion, all of this is mental. It's mental. We talk about our mental health. We talk about our mental fortitude. We talk about those things overall with everyone, right? But I'm specifically talking about this. Here is something else I realized most men don't really open up and share what they're going through. They'll kind of keep it to themselves, right? Men coping with divorce are also more likely to lead an unhealthy lifestyle. Listen to that, an unhealthy lifestyle. They often fall into alcohol abuse, drug use, tobacco use. I can go on and on and on, right? Uh, I don't want any male, I don't want anybody, but I'm just talking today on this show that have to go through anything. I don't want you guys to go through anything. You have to go through it by yourself because having high risk substances, dealing with some unfortunate marijuana, cocaine, and other things, taking pills. We don't want you to deal with that. Behaviors to numb the emotional pain. No, that is not something that's really going. That's just trying to numb it for that moment. And I'm gonna add this one in six. Just because you knocking people head off, that does not put you in a great space. That does not. Those are things that run you and put you into negative spaces all the way around. One of the hardest things that men have to do is deal with the fact that it's over, right? That it's over. Psychologically, you start talking about I failed again, I did this and I did this. But no, we can't go down that. But what I wanted to talk to today is begin to highlight just those different things that men suffer from cardiovascular diseases, hypertension, cancer, I mean depression, all kind of stuff, but it all goes back to mental. Your mental state is that. So mentally, right, men suffer according to studies more than the lady. Now I'm not discrediting the lady, so before y'all get all up in arms and all stand, be quiet. I'm not talking about that right now. I'm talking about men and what they suffer from, right? And how do you deal with it? How do you go through it? A lot of times when you go through and you push through these things, you want to make sure that you're able to even stand up. I mean, you want to make sure you even able to stand up, man. Going through a divorce myself, unfortunately, I went through a lot of these things myself. You can say what you want, and a lot of times I've heard spiritual counselors and spiritual mentors and other mentors and friends and relatives and associates and oh, just do this and do this. But until you get in that hot seat, until you going through that particular thing, you don't know what your reactions are going to be until you actually go through them. And some of the things you just didn't know. You go through some of the things, the grief in a lot of cases is absolutely horrific. It's horrific. But you still have to continue on, right? You still have to continue on. One of the things collectively men go through those different things is that's mental. You go through unhealthy exercises, as I call it. And I say unhealthy. You begin eating randomly. You just begin eating unhealthily. You just begin eating morning, noon, and night. Not that you're hungry, you just start eating. You're stressed out. You're frustrated. You're fatigued. Some turn, like you said, to alcohol. Some turn to sex. Some turns to drugs. Whatever it may be, a lot of those are just absolutely unhealthy. And then some people just say, you know what, I'm good, dog. I'm good. We ain't gotta, listen, this your boy. I'm good. No, you're not. Stop it, right? So I want to talk about, just so many different things. But here's one of the things I want to bring up: depression. Depression, in and of itself, is a severe mental illness triggered by some underlying stresses, and divorce certainly causes a prolonged stress. Listen, it causes an absolute prolonged stress. It does. Now, I'm telling you from experience, I've done all of the stuff you could imagine to make sure you stay focused on moving forward. But some days you crawl up in that bed and you balled up and was like, I can't believe I'm going through this, right? So you go through whether it's anger, you're being irritable, or your aggressiveness gets to a higher level. I mean, you just get into that stuff because battling with that depression side, right? You may be feeling anxiety, you be feeling restlessness. There are nights where I didn't even sleep. Not because something was going on, it was just an underlying symptom that I didn't even know about, right? You may have loss of interest in work, family, hobbies. Sometimes you just shut yourself off. I don't want to do work. I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to be around family. I don't want to do hobbies. I don't want to exercise. I don't want to play sports. I don't want to do any of that. I just want to be alone. I just want to turn the lights out, close the blinds, and be by myself. Let me tell you guys, I literally did that. Yep, I did that. And I'm not saying this to shine light on me, but I'm sharing this because at first I thought I was the only one, right? And I thought I was the only one that went through these things. And it took time to converse with professionals. Yeah, I said professionals. I had look, I got two counselors and an unofficial counselor. Right. So listen, I had to literally go there and push aside the pride and literally get there and began to understand who I was. Shout out to Dr. Hardy. Shout out to my best friend. There are some people that came alongside to hold my hand. Shout out to my sister, Tay. What's good? So, we did some of those things just to continue that I can walk through a certain space to make those things happen. And God blessed me with individuals that also had the capacity to handle my strength. Yeah, 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 yeah. See, when you're going through this, a lot of times you want to talk to somebody, but individuals around you don't have the strength to hold your weight. They don't have the strength to hold your power, right? So I have a best friend that was able to hold my strength, to hold my power, to understand where I was. And even on those days where I just had to cry, he may have even had to hold the phone and just let me get it out. But in those days, I was grateful because he was able to handle the weight of what I was sharing this with, right? So, men, be mindful of who's around you when you're going through something like this, right? Now, I'm talking about divorce, but even in the space of if you die or someone dies close to you, a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, or something like that, you have to be able to handle that as well. Don't get caught up into not saying something because you got to process it. You have to process it, right? But I was able to have someone that can hold the strength and the power of my weight. When you have people around you, make sure this is a nugget. Ding, 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 baby. Make sure those people are around you that can hold your weight and your strength when you're going through something tragic or something that's painful or something that you want to relate to other people with. But sometimes y'all know what it is. I can't really share that with him. I can't really share that with her. But I want to walk through this thing. Yeah. When those individuals, that's cool. That's great for party time. But when you start talking about that person holding your weight, that's a clue that you may have to take a look at your friends and your family. When you're going through something, do not listen to what I'm saying. Going through some of those negative I'll say emotions when we talk about alcohol, tobacco, drugs, all those things, that's not healthy. Sex, that's not healthy because you are literally just trying to wash that pain away quickly. Mm-mm. Don't do that. You have to be around somebody that's going to actually tell you no in those situations, right? I just want to drink. No, you're not in a space to have a drink. No, you can't do drugs. No, you don't need to go have sex with 55 different people. No, it's a no because now you're developing something that we're going to have to fix on the other end. No, we're not doing that. So when you're walking through all of those spaces, you have to make sure that person on the other end can handle your strength and your power and then also be able to tell you no. That's right, to be able to tell you no. And get this is so good. This is another ding, 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 ding. Not only be able to tell you no, but you also know that's going through this. Understand that the person is telling you that because they love you and they don't want nothing negative or anything to hurt or harm you, not just that moment, but anything in the future. And you may even be mad at that person, but deep down, you know who that ride or die is. Deep down, you know who that individual is. Be like, you can't do that. I know, friend, or I know sister, or I know whatever you want to call your best friend, your BFF, right? Listen, I know, my love, you can't do this. I know, my sister, you can't do this. I know, love, you can't do this. But you understand that you love that person and they're not going to guide you wrong. So now you have to look at, even though you're dealing with the consequences of divorce from a male perspective, well, what is it on the other end? Do you have people in your life that will undergird you in the time of your need? See, you're there for everybody else. You're uplifting and holding everybody else. You're the strong one in the family. You're the one that everybody turns to. But what happens when your foundation is what happens when your foundation is cracked? Who do you turn to? And if you don't have someone in your circle that can handle your strength and your power, that ain't your best friend. That is just a good time person. You need somebody that can handle you in the good and the bad, right? So let's look at the other part. He's talking about feeling sad, hopeless, empty. Yep, had those expressions too, right? When I stopped playing baseball at Southern, and I got hurt, and then went through had surgery, and I'll tell you all the story another time, right? And basically the doctor was like, you can take that risk, you can play, and if something happened, you can bleed out on the field. Or you can literally say, you know what, I'm good and continue to live your life and to build whatever it is that you had to build. Well, when I divorced from baseball, because that was my first love, the feeling of sad and hopelessness and empty and anger and irritable and feelings and all of those things rushed to me. But I didn't know what that was. And I didn't know how to control that anger. I didn't know how to control that restlessness and not really feel like dealing with people and a quick temper and feeling sad and all of those things. Yeah, yeah, I had all of that. I was going through depression, but here's the thing, right? As I began to grow, because I wanted to be so much better, that I began to do the work. And sometimes we just have to do the work. Not being able to remember details or concentrate. Oh, it was a whole bunch of days. I just be sitting in there, I'm just in space. I don't have baseball anymore. I'm just in space. Oh, I want to go do this. Yes, did all of the stuff you're not supposed to. I've never done drugs, but when I say I used to, when I was at Southern, I drunk. I didn't drink. I drunk. Right. I mean, I was in that space. Here's where just I had to turn from that because I'm giving you all of the negative side. Then we're gonna start talking about solutions, right? And it was just, hey, I went from drinking, called myself drinking wine to now graduated to Crown, and then I was drinking Crown and Seven, and then I just went to drinking Crown on the rocks to then drinking straight Crown. Then I went from Crown to Hennessy, and yeah. Yeah, I'm still. I don't know about y'all, but I'm thinking about this as we're talking. Where all this money came from? Don't know. Listen, I worked a $4.25 job at the state capitol. I'm still trying to figure out how God is so good because I can't even imagine how I got through all this. But nonetheless, so I went through all of those things, and I understand where some of you guys are. For those that are listening to this, right? Because I want you to hear this. You are good enough. Just because the relationship failed, it didn't go as you planned. That does not mean you are a failure. Yes, I understand it hurts right now. Yes, I understand it's extremely painful right now. Yes, I understand you're going through challenges and thoughts and up at night and early in the morning. I get that, but you're not a failure. Contrary to what people may say in these streets, contrary to all of those things, you are not a failure. You are absolutely not a failure. Men are also far less likely to seek mental health care. See, ladies, y'all do an amazing job. Y'all like, look, something wrong? Ain't good. Look, it ain't good. No, it's not good. Ain't good. Y'all go and figure out how do I get this right? What do I need to do? How can I seek help to make sure I'm good? And not just go to the local church or the local mosque and just say, hey, I need help. Okay, you take 2 classes and then you go about your business. Nah, y'all get into it to really begin to try to heal because overall it begins to talk about healing. Um, you're not weak, also. When you going through a divorce, when I went through baseball divorce, when I went through actual divorce in life and all that stuff, I felt like I was weak. Oh, it was weakness, and I was weak. I was shameful. I'm just weak. I can't believe this. I can't do this right. I can't do that right. And then all of the negative self-talk came into play. That's why your best friend, that rider, comes into play and begin telling you, no, no, you're strong. No, 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 you're powerful. No, no, no. Just because you had a divorce, that does not mean you are the problem. All of those different things came into play to begin moving you away from that thought about your being weak. Now, from a spiritual perspective, to all of my spiritual folks out there, let me also share this. Just because you went through all of that, began to have to get back to my origin, my personal origin, and that was begin to create, to converse with my creator, to begin to get on my knees. See, some of those prayers were not the fancy ones. Some prayers oh, Father, in the name of Jesus, and you get into that flow, and oh, that sounds great. But some of you out there know, men and women, y'all can raise your hand when it's that night when it seems like hell has hit your doorstep and everything going right. You don't have the baseball anymore, or you just got divorced, or you done lost a loved one, and everybody's going home, and it's just you in the bed in the middle of the night. And some of those prayers are not the fancy, cute prayers I like to say, but some of them are just like, God, help me. Need help tonight, not tomorrow, tonight, right now. Those are those prayers that I felt was the most powerful ever in my life. Not even your best friends, not even your brother, your sister, your mom or dad can step into that. But it was those deep late night prayers that said, Father, I need you. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know how to bring it up, but I need you. I'm speaking to those individuals. I don't know why this is so heavy on me, but that are going through things. And I want to talk about it. I don't necessarily like to, but I want to talk about it. that have so many negative thoughts running through their mind. Listen, you are loved. I love you. I have family that loves you. The Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette family loves you. Listen, we want the very best for you. If you're going through these emotions or even feeling that you have deep depression or suicidal thought, first and foremost, call this number 800 273 8255. 800 273 8255. That's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. We don't want anything to happen to you, but I also want to make sure that as we're going through this, and some people start having these suicidal ideations, and you're trying to open up to people, and they're just saying, "Oh, you just want attention." No, you can't take that chance. You're going through a divorce on any level, whether it's sports, whether it's entertainment, whether something was snatched from you, whether somebody died unexpectedly, whether you got divorced from your husband or your wife. You can't take that for granted when somebody is saying those things, right? So make sure, let me give you that number again. It's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 800 273 8255. It's 24/7, 365, 84/7, 365. Or, technology has increased it. You can text 988. Just text 988. Text 988 for a crisis counselor, because I believe in you. I want you to be successful, regardless of the divorce, regardless of what the naysayers are saying in the street, regardless of the lies, all of those things. You are that important. You are that important. Yep. Yep. You are that important. I also went through something else, because I know there's other people. So let me put myself on the fence. I also went through decreasing self-esteem, and just my esteem was extremely low. I had this thought like, man, I didn't went through this, life over, everything. It's just, oh, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I felt unworthy of a good relationship. I felt unworthy of love. I felt unworthy of care. I felt unworthy of respect. I just was in a space. I was in a downward spiral. Just saying I'm lonely and I'm this and I'm that. Listen, brothers, men, dads, fathers, uncles, brothers, cousins, you are more to us than you can imagine. We don't care what you've been through, but you mean more to us than you can imagine. You do. You do. You mean more to us than you could imagine. I understand the divorce means you're separated from what your home is, where you built a lot of stuff. I understand in some cases you may be separated from your children. I get that. And because you may be feeling this loneliness, I get it. It can intensify more, believe it or not, in divorced men than it does in women. Now, again, women, I'm not disparaging you. I'm just sharing what research and truths are, right? Because divorce means the separation, and a lot of times for the houses, the cars, and all the material things you may have built. And now I've heard people say this a lot. Oh, but you can build that back and you can get that back. I agree, 1000%. But in that moment, you may be like, I don't want to hear that. I built this X, Y, and Z, and I want my stuff. I've built a relationship with my children, and now all of a sudden they're not in the same house with me. That's you can say that later, but that may not be something you want to say right away, right? Because the power of that connection that they have built with their children and not being in that space. Hey, sometimes that loneliness hit, and it can intensify even greater, right? So we want to make sure we understand that. Um, I love you guys so much. Anxiety and depression also comes into play. It's intense. persistent fear or worry. You know, when you're going through this, from a male perspective, ladies, regardless of what, the divorce is done. And the male, the man, the dad may want to spend time with their child, but may not be able to based on a court's ruling, right? Here's what's something, everybody get excited. That's good, girl. You got the kids, and that's all good. Now I'm only talking about real women. I'm only talking to real women when I say this. But see these weak women out there that want to hold the kids against the dad and tell them all this negative stuff about the dad and all that. Listen, I got some strong words for y'all. I'm just not gonna say it on this podcast, but I have some intense, strong words for you guys in terms of the individuals. I'm just gonna pray for y'all. In terms of the ladies that are out there that still listen, the marriage didn't work. Well, let's work, make sure the child is lifted up. That's great. Well, let me tell you one of the actual things that a male will go through on their end. It's cool because the lady or the mother have the children, but the intense and persistent fear or worry comes from the dad wondering, will I be able to see my child? How are they doing? What are they doing right now? You may even have a morning routine or evening routine or just something silly that you may do with your son or your daughter. And now all of a sudden that can't take place. So you have those worries as well. Listen to me good. Time is going to heal it, but there's a couple things you have to do, in my opinion, right? Number one, I believe you have to have real counseling, somebody that's certified in it. Shout out to Dr. Candice Saraparu, my girl, my dog. Shout out to Dr. Monica Hardy. Shout out to Dr. Sam Oram. I got some riders on my side, right? My sister Tantia Walker. I got some riders on my side. But listen, in all of those things, there's still are times where I was not able to talk to somebody and I still have to focus on going forward. So every male that's out there that's listening to this, and every woman that has a male that have been through something horrific, you have to make sure that they continue to go forward. They still are being loved for, cared for, loved on. Yep, I know sometimes y'all be like, man, I don't love on him. He need his mama. Okay, can you not be that for a short period of time? Right? Can you not be that person's emotional support for that short period of time? But sometimes you have to do that to help them until they begin to break free of that painful situation in their life. Now, let me address this to individuals that say, well, that's a blessing because that divorce, that marriage was not for them. That marriage was never going to work. We understand that. But that still does not stop the fact of what they're going through, right? So here are just some other things that just some emotions that they will go through as a man. It can't be true, right? I mean, this literally, I can't believe this. Well, they have some adjectives with my, it can't be true, right? Oh my God. So you in the, you just like, wait, I'm rubbing my head. Oh, Lord. Okay. This can't be true, right? So you go through all of those things. Uh, if a man does not foresee a divorce, and some studies show that this is most often the case, the news about the breakup can be hard and to that individual, right? Now, some people could go in and say, "Oh, y'all know you have to have signs, and you have." Oh, okay, y'all on the outside looking in, but on the inside, some people literally goes through that, and it's like, man, this is devastating. Now, here's another part of our stage. I'm I'm hurt, but here's the thing. Here go the pride. This whole pride thing, but I ain't gonna show it. Yeah, I'm hurt, but I ain't gonna show it. I ain't gonna show it. I'm gonna still be. I'm good. I'm your boy. I'm all of that. But deep down, you're like, how you doing? Oh, I'm totally fine. That's a blessing. Thank God. And you put on these airs. No, don't do that. You have. I heard my mentor say this a bit ago, and it was something powerful. And he said, I was talking about social media, and it was just like, it's social, so you got to be yourself, right? And I'm saying that for you to be yourself, not to post your stuff on social media. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying about how are you? How are you really feeling? Again, I believe that's where that best friend comes in. I believe that's where that person comes in and like, hey, you know what? No, I'm not good. So we have to make sure we're mindful that I'm so at the so angry stage. You know, the so angry where you want to beat somebody silly. Yeah, you can't. That just hold them. Just let them get out of that field and hold them. For baseball, when I say divorce, but when I couldn't play baseball anymore, that was so deeply intense and personal for me. That was the first time I felt that level of pain ever in my life. I mean, ever in my life. And I was angry at my body. I was angry because I felt my body let me down. I was, I was absolutely angry. It was horrific. I was that angry. But again, I go back to being in a place to where you have somebody to process it through. When I lost my dad, yeah, I know yesterday was Father's Day, and yep, got all of the emotions, all of that stuff. But I remember when I lost my dad, and I had a conversation with a friend of mine. I'm not gonna call their name because now y'all trying to be in my business. But very, very well known. She called, and all she said was, we clowned about my doctorate degree, and then she said, "Listen, I am here when you're ready to process what happened." That was it. I'm ready. I'm here for you to process what happened. And I'm grateful for that and was able to process and all those stuff. So have somebody that again can handle your weight, can handle your strength, can handle your power, and have the capacity to do it with grace, love, affection, attention to details to keep you moving forward because this is not the end and it will never be the end. It is just a stepping stone. But if you're going through it right now and you need a hug, here's a secret. Ding, 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 ding. Write this one down. Here's a simple, quick secret. Find someone who gives good hugs. Find someone who gives good hugs. That and get a hug from that person. It may be your mom. I'm not talking about a pat on the back. I'm talking about a good hug, somebody that's going to embrace you. And you'll be surprised of how great it feels. That's a secret. I'm telling you. It's a secret. You trust me on that one. Here's another one. I'm not going to ask for help. Now, going through a divorce, now this is on the husband and wife divorcing. You may go through a period of financial struggles before the courts rule on separation of stuff and bank accounts and finances and all of that stuff. You may go through a little struggle at times. You may have to literally get yourself together. And I get it. But don't sit there and say, I'm not going, I ain't gonna ask nobody for help. Your cousin or your mom or your dad sitting there want to help, and you be like, hey, are you good financially? And you're like, oh no, I'm great. Yet the people that said the energy company or electricity company or in New Orleans, we say the light company have sent a termination notice, right? Don't do that. Just ask, hey, listen, you know what I'm going through. If you can help, great. So let's make sure we walk through that. I'm going to rebuild my life, and I'm not going to do anything about my life. Most of the time, it's the second one. I'm not going to do anything about my life, and it's just kind of like you giving up. You gave up. Just like I don't care, whatever. I ain't doing that. I ain't gonna rebuild. Nope. None of that. That's a lot of times things happen. But again, that is just temporary. Now you have to determine from a male standpoint, uh, why are you here? Why did your creator put you here? Lean back on your whole thought and your purpose in life of being here. Why am I here? What's your purpose of being here? Right? If you have children in the marriage, why not? That's, hey, listen, I need to make sure these young men or these young ladies are good, they're taken care of, and we're going to make sure they have all of the support. It may be a little different, but we're going to make sure that they have all of the support. That's going to be very, very important and very, very critical. Here's one of the last ones, right? If you move forward, but don't do the emotional work to get through the pain of divorce, it can end up backfiring and a rebound relationship may not last. First of all, I don't believe in rebound relationships. Do your everything first. Become healed, whole, powerful. Bring your mojo back. Let your energy start coming off. You become that attraction again. Enjoy life. Have joy, that peace, all of those things. Then start looking back into a relationship. It may be a month, it may be a year, it may be a decade. We don't know how it's going to end up, but don't rush back into get into a relationship and you haven't fully processed what you have just went through. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. You can admit to what happened. You can understand what happened. You can accept what happened. And then you try to jump into a relationship, but you haven't dealt with the critical issues within yourself about certain things that have hurt you. And it's going to come out at the wrong time. That's not what we want. That's not what we want. That's not what we're going to have. So we're going to move past that and we're going to make sure that in every single thing that we do, we're doing this with power, emotion, but we're also doing it with intelligence. The last part I want to say is this: when you're speaking with power and you're speaking with love and you're pushing through and making those things happen, right? I firmly believe. Matter of fact, no, not believe. I know. Turn to your spiritual power. Turn to your spiritual power. Number one, turn to your spiritual power. Number two, get somebody that you can talk to professionally that do this for a living. Don't call your cousin that say, "Oh yeah, I can help." No, no. Talk to somebody that you can actually talk to. Now, here's the thing: when you talk to a professional counselor or mentor or whatever it is, right? You have to be absolutely drop dead truthful. Don't hold nothing back because they can't give you and share with you what you need if you're only giving bits and pieces. That's for anybody going to counseling. You can't do that. You have to literally give them everything. Now, some of it is going to be some bitter pills you don't necessarily want to hear, but you have to make sure that you get that done. I'm telling you, you get that done, it's going to be powerful. So number one, turn to your spiritual power. Number two, get somebody that you can actually talk to, a professional counselor that you can talk to. Number three, have a best friend that can hold your weight, hold your power. What's the other one? Hold your weight, hold your power, hold your love, just be able to hold you, right? Because when they're able to hold your power, your love, your strength, that's what I want the strength. Hold your strength, make sure they can do that. So it's three things I believe wholeheartedly, not believe, I know. Your spiritual power, turn and talk to an actual professional about what you're going through and have, I call it the BFF, have that best friend, your brother, whoever that is, that can hold your power, your strength, your anointing, all of the stuff that you want to carry out for you that can hold you, right? So I think you have those three. Those will help guide you through some of the most difficult things that you're going to go through. Even at night, you say, "Well, I need to pick up the phone. I can't call a counselor. I'll pray, but it's not working." That's where your BFF comes into play because your real BFF, you'll be able to pick up the phone in the middle of the night and say, "Listen, I need you." They're not going to ask, "Well, what's going on? I'm asleep or I'm this or I just can't." No, no, no. They're not going to do that. They're going to say, "What's wrong? I'm on the way." If you're in a different state, let's talk. We're going to stay on the phone until we can get on the Zoom. We'll do whatever it is that you have to do, but we'll make sure that that actually works and happens. All right. So listen, family, I hope this helped everybody out there, not just in a specific part of divorce, but in every part of things that you divorce, whether it's sports, whether it's relationships or what have you, that it was able to help you in the long run. We rolling, family. I promise you, this mental health stuff, it ain't gonna beat nobody down because we at Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette, baby. We making it happen. So I'm a whine to everybody that's out there. Shout out to everybody that had a chance to listen to. And I'll say this: send this to whoever you need to send it to. Send it to whoever you need to send it to. Go to Let's Talk with StanleyDoucette.com. Either message me directly, you need some assistance, some guidance, some resources to send people to. Just hit your boy up if that needs be. Go to my YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, share. Come like your boy. I've been stuck at, I forgot whatever the number was there. It's very low YouTube subscribers, but no worries. That's no big deal. I just want to make sure everybody get this information that you need to get and just come join us and do what we have to do. All right. Listen, much success to everybody that's out there. Shout out once again to all of the fathers. Happy Father's Day. I know that was yesterday, but I'm still saying it again. Happy Father's Day. I celebrate you. I thank you. The world needs you. We all need you. We all need your contributions, and you're more powerful than you believe. So, with that being said, I love you guys. We're going to see y'all next week on Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette. We're about to ride on out of here, so y'all be good. We out. Peace.